Did they get in touch with you? What was the process?
Yeah, they reached out to me. So I think a lot of us got recruited for the show. And what they'll do is they'll reach out to you on Instagram. One of the casting producers will follow you and then they'll message you and then they'll have a call and they'll say, hey, we think you're really good for this show. Would you like to apply? And, would you like to potentially be on Love is Blind?
And was it something you were open to? Had you seen the show in the past?
I think that it took a little bit of convincing. Lydia had a conversation with a few of the girls from the cast. She had a conversation with Aaliyah, and then on a separate occasion, she had a conversation with three or four of the girls. What she had told them is that because she was checking who I followed on Instagram every week, she noticed that I was following somebody new, and she saw that that was a casting producer. And she clicked over to their Instagram profile and she saw casting for Love is Blind. So she was like, oh, okay. So she applied to be on Love is Blind. She blocked my Instagram profile so nobody would know that we know each other. And that's how we ended up on the show together. Now, I think after she made those admissions to those girls, she realized how bad that made her look. So she started to backtrack and say, oh, no, well, yeah, Uche told me he was being casted for the show, and that's how I figured it out. But number one, not only is that not true, I didn't have a conversation with her about it at all. But even if that were true, it still begs the question of why conceal the fact that you knew somebody was going through the casting process that you
Hmm.
knew and you used to date, and you applied to be on the show and you started showing up the first day saying, I feel like I'm going to see somebody from my past before the dates even happened. So how is she telling you these things? And she said, I don't know. She's telling me these things. They're not sending her home. So I went to the producers and I said, hey, you remember when you said that if we were to talk about any of our previous relationships or tell anybody in the lounge about each other, you would send us home? Why isn't that happening? And the producers told me, I don't know what she's talking about. We don't know what Aaliyah's talking about. Like, we're keeping them separate in the lounge. They're taking separate rides up to the studio, back from the studio. I don't know. Maybe Lydia said something in passing, but it's like not a big deal. It's
Oh,
not something
wow.
that's happening. So I'm like, okay, well, yeah, maybe she just said something in passing. Like it's not a big deal. So that's what I was thinking on my end. I was getting like conflicting information about what was going on. And then watching it back, I was like, oh my God, that's terrible that she had to sit through that. Obviously, it felt, I don't know what, Lydia's goal was out of all of it, but it felt a little bit manipulative to me. And I was just so sad that, Aaliyah had to go through with that.